If you're thinking about starting, or maybe you've started investing in a cash pay telehealth business, the white label selection is arguably the most important piece and most important decision that you can make when building the foundation. Who you choose will either make you a real owner of a business, turn you into an affiliate, which why you're starting a business to become an affiliate, or may determine whether you ever get off the ground or not, and you end up burning through hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash. I've seen this happen countless times. The wrong decision will cost you no less than $30,000. I've seen it cost businesses hundreds of thousands of dollars. So in this video, I'm going to tell you exactly how you need to evaluate what white label partner to choose and what are some of the key questions that you're asking. For those of you that don't know me, yes, I've consulted on, over 50 businesses. I've had all these conversations. I've built Patient Acquisition. We're the #1 by far leading marketing partner in the telehealth space for cash paid services. We've acquired over 45,000 patients from our marketing efforts. We've generated over 100 million in revenue for our clients. As a marketing partner, generally what happens is the business is already established before they engage with our firm. What we've seen is over 20 of them behind the scenes, what it's actually like to work with them operationally, not work with their sales team. Keep in mind, a salesperson is going to tell you what you want to hear. But once they get that money, and once Daniel, the marketer, or whoever you hire says, okay, we need this done to the intake form, we need this information, can you share this document with us, can you make these changes to it, everything changes. So a lot of these companies, very easy to work with when it comes to take your money, very hard to work with post taking your money. First thing first, what is a white label? This is the network, or this is the platform that does one of these two things. Normally they do both, but in some instances they only do one of either the prescribing. So this is the doctors, think of this as the doctor network, and or the shipping of the medication, the fulfillment. So this is like the actual pharmacy relationships. Those are the two main components of the white label. Is you've got #1, your doctor network, and #2, your pharmacy network. Depending on where you're at and just getting started, what I strongly advise is do not try to start either of those two things yet. If you haven't cracked patient acquisition, that's the biggest disaster I've seen happen. I've never once seen somebody who hasn't cracked patient acquisition start a doctor network and pharmacy network and their own direct-to-consumer telehealth business all at once. What happens is businesses crack patient acquisition, they get to thousands, tens of thousands of patients, and then it makes sense for them to buy their own doctor network or pharmacy network. But I'm not going to go into the compliance and strategy of why you need to do this and when to do this. The purpose of this video is how to choose the right one. What is the white label? That's the doctor network, that's the pharmacy network, and generally it's one company that does both of those things, or they've built a technology that then plugs into an existing doctor network or plugs into an existing pharmacy network. Tech is very hard to build. It's very costly. You have to be exceptionally good. I mean, you're looking at no less than probably $20,000 to $30,000 a month to build this, probably 6 to 12 months to actually get the tech built right. If you really want to do it right, even more than that. So that's just the technology piece that then latches on to the doctors and the pharmacies. So it's a very complex process. People don't understand it. Aside from the doctor network pharmacy, there's really two types of white labels. There is your business in a box, and then your truly just platform integrations. And the business in a box, they do everything. So this is going to be your site, your EMR, the actual white label above, and CRM generally. And then the platform integration is generally just going to be, this is all we do. You have to own the site. So it's going to be just the doctors, the pharmacy, or just a tech platform that integrates on these. Those are your two main types of white labels. If you're going to spend money on paid ads at all, I would not advise a business in a box. These are going to give you a turnkey site, all the product SKUs. They might help with compliance. Generally, they backdoor it on to one compliance piece. You can use theirs, or they'll rent it, or they'll backdoor loop it. You can get away with those when you're not spending on ads. But as you start spending on ads, everything gets revealed, whether you've laid the right foundation or not, whether you're compliant or not. Nothing passes through the gates of advertising. If you're not planning to run ads, and for example, you're a gym, you own a gym, or you're a trainer and you just want to make money off this, I would actually encourage you to go for these business in a box solutions. They're going to turnkey your website. They're going to get everything set up for you. Referral traffic, word of mouth traffic, maybe a small email list that you have. That's a great solution for it. If you're actually trying to build a big business or build a legit business and not add a side hustle to my main income, or how can I add an extra $10,000 to $20,000, you're going to want the platform integration, like the one that actually is a full stack development, and it's going to latch on to that doctor network and the pharmacy. It will handle the intake form. If you don't know what an intake form is, when you go to the website, like if you go to Hims or Eden or any of these companies, you go to their website, then you say, I want weight loss, or I want ED or hair loss, whatever it is. You press it, and then it redirects you to this form where it then starts capturing PHI, which is protected health information. And this is protected under HIPAA. So once it goes to that intake, that's where it goes off of your website. So you've got your site here. So this is your product page. You've got the copy here. You've got this. You got probably more stuff here. And they click, they say get started. This then routes to this new page, which is the intake. So this is where the patient records are input in the intake form, which generally, if it's a full stack, the doctor network and pharmacy network are all under one white label solution. That intake is the same company as then pharmacy. So now the doctor, actually it goes technically to a doctor to review. So doctor reviews, it then gets passed and approved or rejected. If it's approved, it then gets sent to the pharmacy, and then that pharmacy then ships it to the patient. That's their home. This is essentially the flow. You've got your site, your intake, doctor reviews it, it then kicks it to the pharmacy, and then it goes to the patient. These parts here get managed in your EMR, electronic medical records, your patient portal. All of this is part of this full stack development. These business in a boxes, they're giving you all of this in one, which again, very turnkey, works great at small scales. There's really those two main types of white label solutions. You've got the business in a box, they do everything. And then you've got like, your full stack development platform integration. So they're going to integrate either all of these things or some of them, which would be the intake form, the doctor network and review, the pharmacy network, essentially the patient portal where they're managing their prescription. They can review, talk with the doctor. So that's essentially what the white label does. I hope I made that clear for you. Drop comments if it doesn't make sense, or if you have more questions about that, I want to see your comments. And if you want somebody who's already tested out what white label solution is best for you, which one actually works, because the one you want is going to be dependent on what you're trying to do, right? Some people want to provide hormones. That's going to be a different white label solution than if I want to do weight loss, than if I want to do ED or this or that, or I've got $100,000 in paid ads. I want to spend in paid ads. Like I want to scale with this. I want to take advantage of these category 2 peptides that are about to emerge. Depending on what angle of the market you want to go after is going to determine what white label selection that I would recommend for you. Now, that doesn't mean that all of them that can offer what you want are going to be the ones I would recommend. We'll get into that. But if you want somebody to help you navigate that process and build you out from the ground up the right way, knock out the application below to apply to work. If you've got an established telehealth business and you want to take it to the next level, knock out the application. My team can do the marketing for you, or I can coach you on how to do it yourself. So that's the breakdown of the types of white labels. The problems with the white label, I'm going to tell you, I actually had a conversation. I talked with all the CEOs and founders of all the white labels. Why? I know a thing or two about marketing. They all want me to help build their businesses. Daniel, can we refer you clients if you referred people to us? To date, I have not, and I don't want to receive a single dollar in compensation kickback from these companies. Why? Because I'm not in that business. I'm making money on marketing. I want to stay in my lane. I know my lane. I want to provide the best solutions and help my clients go from zero to where they want to go in the shortest amount of time with the least amount of resistance while maintaining the highest amount of profit margin. That's it. So if you are a white label company and you can do that exceptionally well for me, you have a good customer experience and journey and all these things that happen, they reach out to me and they want me to help them guide their business and decisions and how to set up their structure and what they should be doing, what they shouldn't be doing. Because at the end of the day, you're all marketing organizations. You need to have that marketing in place. So I get reached out every day, every single day by white label companies, CEOs, people trying, Daniel, will you partner with me? I'll even, I'll share some screenshots of it. I'm going to blur out the companies. I don't want to badmouth anybody. I think they're trying to make money, or, they're going about this the right way. They just don't have the the experience they have. Generally, the problems with these white labels stem from one of two things. Number one is generally they're very medical in their backing. They move very slow. They think like doctors. They don't think like marketers. So their tech is limited. Their tech doesn't do the things that it needs to do. The user interface is garbage. You can't make changes that you need. They're very slow. They don't even know what words like attribution are. Or number two, this is the other problem, is some 22-year-old who's in it for making money. That's it. That's the only reason they want to be in this. First question I ask, hey, would love to know how you got into this and why you're in it. And like literally so many of these, they're like, for the money. And they'll say it like all weird like that too. I'm like, dude, like, I get money's important. Like it's a big motivator. You should be in it for the right reasons. You know, this kind of fell on my lap. I got pulled into it. I preferred telehealth over med spas because I'm dealing with real business owners and not some of the nuances of dealing with med spa owners. If you're in that space, you probably know what that is. A lot of fakeness, a lot of people who haven't really actually built anything. They just got some money from somebody else. So I like this space because it was better than that. And it kind of fell on my lap. And so it just was like, do I stay in med spa? Do I do this thing that I'm actually much better at? I have more alignment with the owners and operators. I've been a user of peptides for years. So it was more in alignment, which is kind of where I went in that direction, you know, about 3.5 years ago, pivoting to go fully into telehealth. You know, that's essentially the problems that stem from this. The medical backed companies, the problem with category number one is they don't have the right attribution. Their tech is broken or just complete garbage. Tech doesn't work. I've literally hopped on calls and they're like, what are APIs? With like the founders and CEOs and their head of tech. Like, if I can't get the API, I can't make you money. They're very slow. They're generally misguided in the compliance. I talked to so many different legal teams. They all say, I'm 100% right. Everybody else is retarded. They don't know anything. And then I talked to another attorney and then they're like, no, that person doesn't know what they're talking about. They have no clue. I'm this big shot. Every attorney you talk with, I'm sure you've probably known that, they all say the same thing. I'm not saying it from legal advice. I'm just saying it from what the big dogs do. And I'm like, if these big dogs can do it, who are making billions, clearly it can be done. You just are incompetent and you're seeing it from your limited, warped view and perspective of your knowledge of what you learned from medical school. So that's the issue with the medical backing ones, is they don't have the tech stack. They're slow. They're just misguided when it comes to legal. Now, the issue with these other 22-year-old ones is some of these same issues. Generally, they don't value operations, or they don't have good customer support, or some of the other same issues, right? Their tech is broken. They don't understand from a marketing perspective the things that are needed. That attribution needs to happen. The intake forms need to be adjustable. It's more of the user experience, UX, UI, is so hard to use. You'll never figure it out. There's hundreds of products for you to choose, all these pharmacies, and now you're in this platform that's gonna take you months to figure out how to do the thing that you need. And then I don't know why it happens to be this way. That's the reality. So again, if it's some young person that's building their first business, they're in it only for the money, the customer support happens. So what happens, and this is, you know, we've worked on big ones, Open Loop, Bask, Beluga, White Label, MDI, you name it, we've worked on them. And what happens is they take your money and then, hey, I need to change the intake. Hey, can I get this documentation? Hey, can I get this? And it's like weeks to get anything done. And if I'm waiting weeks, like, you think I'm going to make money in this space? The trend of today is gone. My opportunity as a marketer has completely diminished. Those are the main problems. Now, you're going to want to ask a few key questions, right? So to find the right one for you, these are going to be the questions that you want to ask. Number one, do I own the patient record? You're going to want to look at the legal agreement to see that. That's very important. Number two, do I own the payment processing, or am I just getting a kickback and check, right? So a lot of these big ones, I've seen companies scale to 9 figures. They can't exit because they don't own the payment processing. No investor is going to buy your business that has $0 in transactions. They own that. That's how these companies make money. So these, you first have to understand what they're in business for. Obviously in business to make money. So how do these white label? Well, they make money on ongoing fees. They make money on the payment processing. They make money on the prescriptions. They have strategic partnerships. They're telling you this is the rate at $45, but in reality, they're getting it for $35. They're taxing you $10 on the back end, plus, 4.5% payment processing, plus this. So these are all the problems that you don't know exist yet. So they own the patient record. They own the payment processing. With some of these other like business in a box ones, do you own the ad account? You'd be surprised. That doesn't happen. Do you own legit script? A lot of times they're just latching you on some like conglomerate legit script. Highly uncompliant, highly risky. You don't own it. They're doing it because it's easier for them than to figure out how to do it compliantly and to set you up right for a business that's done right, that you own, can exit and scale and feel comfortable and sleep at night. Like, I don't understand that. That's not how we operate. Do you own it? Are they helping you with it? Are they helping you with legit script? Meaning, like, do they do the walk you through the application process and expedite it for you? Many of these do. This is one of the bonuses. Now, some of them, they try to strategically position it. We include it in our costs, but what they're doing is they're breaking that cost over the course of 12 months. You have to sign a legally binding 12-month contract that they will sue you and tie you up in court to get that money from you. They've got attorneys on staff, so you don't want something like that. What's the commitment terms? Who builds out the store? Essentially, the store is your back end. Remember, this is where you're going to configure your, we'll do purple. So in the store, you're going to configure the intake form. Do I ask date of birth first? I got a lot of drop off on the date of birth question. I'm going to ask that deeper in the funnel. I want to capture their email, this and that, right? Do they configure it? Can I configure it? That's another really great question. Can I configure or maybe customize the intake, the pricing, and the products? Very important. Many of these, you can't change any of it. It's preset, predetermined. That's it. Most of them, you can change the products. Like, you can decide what you want. Like, that's pretty easy. It's like, oh, well, we have these ones. Pick which ones you want. That's the easiest. The pricing, though, they're like, this is our set pricing. You're just getting a commission on it. You're essentially an affiliate if you can't change the pricing. The intake, that's one of the biggest things that they don't let you configure. That is one of the highest leverage things you can do as you're scaling. And personally, I would never work with one where I don't have control over the intake, because I'm a marketer. I'm a control freak. I want to see that if I've sent 1 million people to your website and I've got a 2%, or like, let's say like a 0.25%, generally this is more of like what the numbers are when I take over. Conversion rate, the drop-offs happening on the intake form, meaning that form that they redirect to, right? Here, they went to my website. I got 1 million people here and only a 0.25% converted into patients. They gave us money. Well, why did so little happen? What happens if I put the intake form in a different order? What happens if I strip away some of these questions, frame it differently, add in some branding? Can I change it, right? Those are things that affect the intake process, the conversion rate. So these are very important things that people aren't even thinking about. Then I would say the number one most important thing is attribution. What documentation do I get? And then does it one-click integrate with the other things that you need? So this is going to be your ads, CRM. Those are the main things. Any other tech stuff. So this is what I mean by their tech isn't fully developed. They don't integrate with anything else. They don't share the APIs. They don't share the documents. And you're essentially, you can log in and see the data, but it only goes from their intake to your portal. Well, what about the site? What about the ads manager? What about the CRM these are the things that I actually use to run my business that I need. Those are the questions you're going to want to ask. Some other things you might want to lean into is, like, how many active patients or how many active clients do you have right now? Another big thing too is I would lean into the case studies. A lot of these companies, they will use big name case studies, but what you don't understand is just because they're using that company doesn't mean they started with what they're selling you on. For example, they might reference a big 9-figure brand. That 9-figure brand didn't start with them. They have different structures. And the white label, there's white labels that I would not recommend where you're at if you're just getting started. There's white labels. If you have tens of thousands of patients, I'm going to recommend a different one because they have better infrastructure and they solve problems that you change. When you have 10,000 patients ordering every month and you fill up your 90% of the pharmacy partner that you're using, all their SKUs, what happens when it goes over? The problems that exist for where you're at when you're starting change as you grow, and these solutions adjust. So a lot of these case studies that they're using, it's not that they're lying. Some of these companies are. There's one company out there, he says he built the infrastructure for this company. He's a complete fraud and liar. I don't like people that lie. Like that's just, I don't understand that. He claims that he built the infrastructure and that they're using his platform. It's not true. I know that company. I did their marketing. I worked with them for 1.5 years. He's using a case study that's not real, but I digressed. Ask them how long they've been with them, what they use them for. Are you the only platform and product, or are you the only platform that they're using? What are they using you for? Is it for pharmacies? Is it for the doctor network? Is it for the payment processing? Is it all of them or a combination or split? Because that's generally how these big case studies are being leveraged, is like they're using them for a small component, or they used them at some stage previously. They're not using them anymore. So just get really clear. It's okay to ask those questions, right? You just want to know, like, where am I at? Like, I'm getting started. Just because you're using this big company, they didn't start with you. So maybe that's not the best solution for me. And then obviously, like, pricing doesn't do any good paying $50,000 upfront per month when you have no money coming in. You know, some businesses, I think they're thinking very strategic and long term, so it might make sense. And when they do the math, you know, $30,000, if they're planning to launch and spend millions of dollars out the gates per month, and they're making millions of dollars, like $30,000 of millions in revenue is like, you know, less than 1%. So minuscule fee, depending on what you're doing. But pricing is big. We negotiate the pricing. We pre-vet all of our recommended partners for you, and then we help you navigate it. So you might have somebody else. Part of that process is us like really analyzing this. Again, I hop on these calls with these CEOs all the time. I want them better priced, better tech, better integrations, better setup, better everything for you. And I push them to get better. Why? Well, guess what? It makes my life easier. When I can get you handed off to them and then you can go live in like 3 to 4 weeks versus months, as I've seen some of these companies, like I'm not going to say who, but I've mentioned their names in this video. They'll take your money and then like you're months out to get pricing on the SKUs, to get your store set up, to get intakes, to get all the things done. And they don't care because they're charging you per month, every month, regardless of you being so that's part of the pricing is, do I get charged per month? Is there a setup fee, or do I get charged once I actually start transacting and seeing patients? So that's part of the pricing. So I know this was a lot, wasn't really structured. I just thought this was an important video to do. So I was here at the studio filming some other content and wanted to knock this out for you guys because it's one of the common questions we get. I hope this is helpful. If you want somebody to help you build the foundation, make all these decisions right, and you're a serious business owner that's thinking about this the right way, knock out an application, apply it to work with us. We do help people build out the infrastructure, get out of that 0 to 1 phase. 93% of businesses that fail, they get the white label selection wrong. By far the biggest mistake you could possibly make. Biggest investment if you get it right too. So we help you navigate that. We've worked on all of these big companies, like so many of them behind the scenes as a marketing partner. We've seen the pros and cons of all of them. We help you navigate that process. You need a website, you need a CRM, you need a white label. Then from there, you're set up as a marketing company. Those are the 3 things that you need. And then you're able to navigate and make money in this telehealth space. So those are the 3 components that you need. All of them important, but I would argue that the white label selection is the single most important thing because it's going to either cost you a lot of money, cost you a lot of time, or possibly both, and then you have to do it again. So hope that helps. Make sure to apply to work with me, and I'll see you at my next video.